back in the 70s, man. Right? Like the elders of the apostles. Right? And it would seem like no one is hearing it. But look now, man, your brother in the Philippines breaking it down in his language. You know what I mean? The name Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Right? So it's been echoed worldwide, man. Right? So it's being fruitful to fruition.
Yeah, that's right. That's why it says you should know them by their fruit. That's how you know this is the truth. Because look at the result. Look at the result.
It is just so simple.
And when he talked with me, behold, I looked by little and little upon him before whom I stood. And these words said unto me, I am come to show thee the time of the night to come.
What verse is that?
30.
Yeah, jump down to the 7th chapter. That's in the 7th chapter, it's kind of 11.
Second Ezra 7 and 11.
All right, this one.
Second Ezra chapter 7 verse 4. But put the case entrance were narrow, like a. Just start top. Okay, so this is Second Ezra chapter 7 verse 1.
Because at the end of the day, this is about the controversy of Israel, right? The controversy of the race, so the competition. Because the competition within Israel and the competition without Israel. Israel against Esau and the other nations, and you got 2/3 versus the elect. And remember, the 2/3 killed Yahweh Shai and the prophets.
Real quick precept, very important to bring out. This is, I just wanted to really share quick. Brother mentioned about prophets of the Lord, and how the message came and so forth like that. Okay? Well, the Lord is never without representative. Never. Whether it's on the ground or it's above. Right? So I'm going to read this scripture. This is Ezekiel 38 and 17. Right? It says, Thus saith Yahweh, our power, art thou he whom I have spoken in old time by my servants the prophets. Right? Of Israel, which prophesied in those days many years that I would bring thee against them. So history tells us, right up until Abba Bivens came on the scene, and even before that, right? If you go into the One West understanding, and you go a little deeper, because I talked to some men, the apostles know these men from HODC, and they talk about other Israelites who were before, but they didn't bring the prepare the way truth. Okay, but the truth was being represented. Okay, the Shabbats, the new moons, everything. But as far as John the Baptist in the form of Abba Bivens, they didn't have that until Abba Bivens. That's the point I'm making. So if you know the history of One West and further back, you'd have to talk to the pioneers, or you have to talk to the apostles, because they know those men, right? And I've met those men. Okay, so the point is that the truth was always being represented. That's why I read the scripture, right? Whether it's underneath or above. That's the point. Go ahead. Hey, what you got?
This is Second Ezra chapter 7 verse 1. And when I had made an end of the speaking these words, there was sent unto me the angel which had been sent unto me the night before. And he said unto me, Up, Ezra, and hear the words that I had come to tell thee. And I speak. And I said, Speak on, my power. Then said he unto me, The sea is set in a wide place, that it might be deep and great. But put the case, the entrance were narrow, and like a river, straight gate. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it, and to rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he come into the broad?
That's right. So if he went not into the narrow, how can he come into the broad? The broad is the kingdom. The narrow is this kingdom. We as Israelites and Israel as a whole are going through a narrow path, which is this kingdom, to get to the wide, or the broad, which is the kingdom of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. That's why we're catching all this hell. Right? And these scriptures are being uplifted, and that's why we've been catching all this hell. It's all a part of the controversy of Israel. Right?
I guess the sea represents the world, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically, if you want to rule the world, you have to go through the narrow first. You have to struggle first before you can inherit the whole kingdom and the people that come with it. Because remember, you're going to be a ruler and a judge, right? You're going to be judging lots of people. You're going to even be judging angels. So in order for you to judge an angel, you got to know this truth and you got to be solemn, man. You know, this is very serious. It says, if he went not through the narrow, how could he come into the broad?
Right?
There's also another thing, a city is builded and set upon a broad field and is full of all good things.
That's right. The kingdom, this world. And this world and its righteousness. Because the way the world is right now, we don't want this shit. This is vile. Esau can have this shit. This is vile, man. Not compared to what we're going to get in the kingdom. It'll be how much you're going to shine.
Mansions, right?
Yeah, that's right.
This is John chapter 14 and 2. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you.
That's right. And you're not going to pay rent, man. You're going to have a house as big as you want, and you won't pay nothing. Just walk in, walk out, and you own that. And the land around it.
They have the term called ancestral homes. Because Esau has ancestral homes that he passes down from generation to generation. Our Father says, I'm going to go prepare a place for you. That's an ancestral home. So a lot of Jake, they sell out now, but they don't understand what they're going to inherit in the end, the long run.
That's right.
Jake is selling their soul for really nothing.
That's why it says that they'll wake up shamefaced. Because they'll be ashamed that they did everything they did in this kingdom, not knowing they were going to get everything that they've gotten in the kingdom that's to come. That's shameful.
Some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Right? This means on this side, you know, this side they will die, and in the kingdom they'll come back through the elect in their right minds. Right? So everlasting shame and contempt on this side. What a way to go. Hey, the reality of that, you'd have to be of a 2/3 spirit for the Lord to show it to you. Or if you can go into the minds of a 2/3. Wow. I don't want to do that. It's a scary thought.
Very scary.
Especially if you're in the truth.
Second Esdras 7 verse 7. The entrance thereof is narrow and is set in a dangerous place to fall. It's a
Valley
dangerous
of the
place.
shadow of death. In a narrow, dirty place.
Yeah, this is a dangerous place, man. The air is polluted, right? The people around you, and you can be driving, and it doesn't matter, man. You have to drive in a machine, and you have to trust other people on the road that they're not going to kill you, that they're not having such a bad day that they want to take their own life.
Driving in a lane this small.
You know what I mean? You have to jump in the plane and trust the pilot is in his right mind today. Today he's in his right mind, and I'm going to get to where I need to get to. This is a dangerous place, man. The Most High is what's keeping you safe. If you really take in where you live, because the air is polluted. If our forefathers came to this kingdom, they would drop dead. Just breathing this air.
Your girl's polluted, man.
And your woman's polluted.
I mean,
And she's constantly plotting against you.
how about kind of butters on her, man?
Come on.
No, I want a good man,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Funny you mentioned the plane, right? You have to trust the pilot. There was a movie called Flight with Denzel Washington, and he was an alcoholic pilot. But there was an incident where he was drunk and he was flying the plane so perfect, and he landed the plane and saved everybody on the plane. So that just shows you have to trust your life with a degenerate.
So and Issa, like we said in the movie, that actually happens.
That's crazy.
There's actually alcoholic pilots, alcoholic so-called policemen who's supposed to uphold the law, and they get him in his drunken stupor, buzzer shot in your ass, and then cover you up and say you attacked him. Alcoholic judge. I mean, teachers, people that in trustworthy position. This is where we're living in, man. Fellowship of death.
And it's crazy too because people in this society believe just because you have a certain title, you're in your right state of mind. Like you're not human anymore. Like you're not in the same kingdom. So he's a police officer. He's going to do the right thing all the time. He's a pilot. He went to school for it. So he's never. So it doesn't matter about all these other stresses outside of school or outside of work. You take your title of your job away, all of us are dealing with, all of us are in hell, man. The scriptures say that when the wicked ruleth, the inhabitants mourn, and when the righteous rule, they rejoice. So all of us are mourning. Everybody. So you can't trust that.
I got a piece
says
of.
the wicked man travaileth all his days. Even the wicked who's controlling shit.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I got a piece at the back of what you just said. Psalms 36 and 4. He deviseth like a mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way.
Speak up.
He deviseth mischief